If your head pokes way out in front of your body like this and you've got a bump forming here at the base of your neck, then you absolutely need to see this video because we're about to talk about what a forward head position actually is, what causes it, some of the more common myths surrounding this issue, and what you need to do to fix the problem once and for all. Let's get into this. Forward head position, commonly known as text neck, tech neck, and neck hump, is one of the most common forms of postural dysfunction that we see in people nowadays. 5 different studies since 2016 have examined the incidence of forward head position in various age groups among different populations around the world, and they've revealed that about 70% of the modern day population has a forward head position. And among the chronic pain sufferers who come to see me at my clinic, that number is closer to 90%. And so what exactly is a forward head position? Well, in the simplest terms, it's a reduction, loss, or reversal of the normal lordotic curve in the neck, which forces the head to protrude out in front of the body. Under normal conditions, when viewed from the side, the neck should have a sweeping lordotic curve similar to the curve in your lower back. Now, the purpose of this curve is to balance and support the weight of a 10 to 12 pound head with a minimum of muscular effort. Here's what an x-ray of a normal neck looks like. Now notice in this x-ray how the shape of the curve in the neck is completely altered. This is known as a reverse curve where the cervical lordosis has not only been lost, but it's actually angled in the opposite direction. When the cervical curve does this, it pushes the head out in front of the body, and what you get is a forward head position. Now, forward head position is not a new problem affecting humanity. In fact, it's been with us for a very long time. Historically, it was referred to as reading neck and scholar's neck because it was commonly seen in much older people who had spent a lifetime literally with their head in a book. But what is new is the amount of young people nowadays who have a forward head position, which of course begs the question, what's causing all this? And there are 3 main factors that are responsible for the massive increase in forward head position that we're seeing in people nowadays. Number 1 is the sheer volume of time that people are spending in flexion-based positions, with their heads down, their arms out in front of them, fingers in a closed or grasping position as they pound away on their computers or have their heads buried in their phones for hours on end. Number 2 is low levels of physical fitness across the board due to a modern lifestyle that seems to become more and more sedentary with each passing year. Number 3 is the ever-increasing amount of time that people are spending on nearsighted pursuits, working on activities that are close to their faces, that require that close visual focus, which reflexively encourages flexion or forward bending in the neck. You'll notice there that I didn't mention anything about breathing, and this is important because there's a popular myth right now that a forward head position is actually a compensatory mechanism for diaphragmatic insufficiency. The idea is this, that if you're not belly breathing the way that you're supposed to due to weakness or dysfunction in your diaphragm, your brain will begin to sense lower levels of oxygen in your body, and in response, it'll shove your head forward in an attempt to open your airway so that you can breathe more efficiently and better oxygenate your tissues. The people putting this idea forward will go on to prescribe a bunch of elaborate breathing exercises to help you to fix your posture. I want to be clear here that this is not one of the mechanisms that drives a forward head position, and that breathing exercises, although great for many things, are not helpful for correcting forward head position. In this 2018 study published in the journal Biomedical Research International, researchers measured the effects that different head and neck positions had on diaphragm muscle strength and respiratory function. So essentially, they took a group of healthy volunteers, they measured their forced expiratory volume and their forced vital capacity when they were sitting upright. They then had them assume a forward head position, and they retook all of those measurements. And what they found was, quote, alteration of head and neck positions had an immediate negative impact on respiratory function. And in a follow-up study published 1 year later in the Journal of Physical Therapy Science, researchers again measured respiratory function in a group of people in a neutral head position versus a forward head position. But these researchers also gathered some really interesting data on the shape of these subjects' rib cages as they went through these various breathing assessments in different postures. And the results from this study showed that every single measurement of respiration, including forced vital capacity, expiratory and inspiratory reserve volumes, forced expiratory volume at 1 second, and the peak flow rate were all significantly lower with a person in forward head position than they were with a person in a neutral head position. These researchers also found that when a person shifts into a forward head position, it causes expansion of their upper thorax and contraction of the lower thorax, and that these structural changes are what's responsible for the decrease in respiratory function, meaning anytime a person shifts into a forward head position, they automatically become worse at breathing. And the nail in the coffin for this myth came in March of last year when the results of this randomized controlled clinical trial were published in the journal Nature. In this study, researchers tested the effects that respiratory exercises had on pain, posture, breathing pattern, and muscle activity in a group of people with forward head position and nonspecific neck pain. So they took all these people and they split them up into 3 groups. Group 1 was the control group, they did nothing. Group 2 was the training group, they performed a specific series of strengthening and stretching exercises. And Group 3 was the combination group that performed that same series of exercises along with some breathing exercises. And after performing these exercises 3 times a week for 8 weeks, here's what they found. These researchers found that the addition of respiratory exercises provided no additional benefit in terms of pain intensity, muscle activity, or forward head position following an 8-week intervention when compared with the same therapeutic program without those respiratory exercises. Now that we understand exactly what forward head position is and what does not work in terms of correction, let's talk about how we actually fix this problem. And that is by modifying the lifestyle factors that are responsible for creating the problem in the first place, specifically reducing the amount of time that we spend looking downward every day at objects that are very close to our face, and using targeted exercise, which is the one intervention that consistently shows the best results in terms of correcting forward head posture. When it comes to using exercise to correct forward head position, there are 4 essential concepts and criteria that must be satisfied in order for you to get the best possible results from your efforts. Number 1 is understanding that the primary function of your postural system is to support your body weight and hold you up against gravity, and that this is accomplished via active muscular engagement, meaning that passive interventions like hanging from an inversion table, squeezing into a posture shirt, or foam rolling your thoracic spine while lying on the floor can never by themselves correct a long-standing postural problem. Number 2 is understanding that the muscles of your postural system function very differently than other muscles in your body. Whereas the muscles in the upper body might contract and then relax after picking something up off the floor, the muscles in your postural system have to contract and hold and keep on holding all day long in order to hold you up against gravity. Number 3 is understanding that the muscles of your postural system function at the subconscious level. In the same way that beating your heart and breathing functions, we do not need to think about holding ourselves up against gravity. This happens automatically. And so when training these muscles, you want to train them on the level that they operate. Number 4 is understanding that when it comes to posture correction, the head leads and the body follows. And it was these 4 criteria that led to the creation of the active traction unit. Now, this simple strength training device subconsciously activates all of the muscles of your postural uprighting system and bolsters your body's ability to resist the downward pull of gravity, all while simultaneously restoring the normal secondary curve to your neck. Let me show you how it works. The active traction unit uses a highly concentrated load, positioned here and here, to gently pull your head forward and down. Now, I know what you're thinking. With a forward head position, this is the last thing in the world that you'd want to do, right? But your body does something really interesting in response to this downward pull. It begins ramping up activity in the muscles that pull your body in the opposite direction. So starting here at the base of the skull, and then moving into the muscles that run along the sides of your spine, into your glutes, then down into the muscles of the backs of your legs, and even into the bottoms of your feet, your body's going to begin increasing activity in all of those muscles to pull you in the opposite direction and make sure that you don't fall forward. And what your brain is searching for here is what's called the optimal carry position. That is the position that is most efficient, that requires the least amount of muscular effort to hold your body weight and this extra weight that's now attached to you up against the downward pull of gravity. And as it turns out, the most efficient way to do this is by increasing the amount of curve in the cervical spine. Now, studies have shown that wearing head weighting devices like this one can increase neck curve in as little as a single 5-minute session. To start fixing your forward head posture today, click the link in the upper right-hand corner of your screen for the active traction unit. I'll also put links for it in the description down below this video. Beyond that, I just want to thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button before you head out of here, and I'll see you next time.